Tonight, the breaking news as we come on the air, the deadly storm sweeping right into the east at this hour from Texas all the way up to New York. The home set on fire by lightning, a mother and her children inside. Drivers trapped under power lines. Also tonight, the horrific accident reportedly involving NFL legend John Elway and his friend who was killed. And breaking news right now involving Ukraine and a possible deal with the U.S. First tonight, the massive storm system from Texas to New York. At least 4 people have been killed in powerful straight-line winds, gusting up to 100 miles per hour, lightning setting that home on fire, the family inside, those drivers trapped in their cars under power lines. And tonight, more than 50 million Americans in the path of new storms coming this evening. Also tonight, for the first time in 3 years, the American economy shrinking. The new numbers in tonight. Before President Trump took office, 33 straight months of economic growth. But tonight, President Trump is blaming Joe Biden, not his own tariffs, and the uncertainty now in the markets of the U.S. economy. And what President Trump said today about store shelves and toys. How many dolls might be available for children? Tonight, the horrific accident involving NFL legend John Elway, the Hall of Famer, reportedly driving his golf cart when his longtime friend and agent was killed in a tragic accident, falling from the cart, hitting his head, and what police are now saying. Tonight, the chilling high school hazing scandal, allegedly resembling an armed kidnapping. 11 students, most of them members of the boys' varsity lacrosse team, tonight surrendering to police after other players were taken into the woods. They thought they were being kidnapped at gunpoint. Tonight, dramatic testimony in the Karen Read murder trial in Boston. Today, the key witness on the stand and what she said Karen Read told police that night. Meantime, Karen Read outside the courthouse late today and what she's now saying about that witness. Tonight, the NFL fining a team and the coach $350,000 after a prank call from the coach's son to college football star Shedeur Sanders during the NFL draft, giving him false hope. Tonight, you'll see the video of that prank call. Tonight, singer Michael Bolton breaking his silence about his battle with brain cancer, what he's now saying. And Barbra Streisand making news tonight after some of the most popular duets of all time. At 83, her big announcement tonight, and who's joining her now?
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here at a very busy Wednesday night. We do begin tonight with these deadly storms sweeping east from Texas to Pennsylvania to New York at this hour. More than 50 million Americans on alert right now. A home set on fire by lightning, drivers trapped under down lines. In North Texas, dark clouds from a tornadic supercell and hail the size of baseballs. The straight-line winds have been ferocious with this, upwards of 100 miles an hour, tossing structures and causing accidents. In Oklahoma City, lightning sparking a fire, destroying this home, a mother and her 2 children inside. They did get out. They're okay tonight. And in Pennsylvania, state of emergency near Pittsburgh. Severe storms moving through, trees crashing down on power lines. 1 person killed by a tree coming down. 2 more electrocuted by down lines. Video tonight from AccuWeather showing a driver trapped under lines that had come down right there. And tonight, a new line of storms, again, stretching from Texas right to upstate New York. Lee Goldberg times this out. And ABC's Mireya Villarreal leading us off here with the images already coming in.
Tonight, powerful storms pummeling the plains for a 3rd night in a row. Record rain inundating drivers navigating rivers during their morning commute in Norman, Oklahoma. Lightning sending this home up in flames in Oklahoma City. A mother and 2 children inside at the time, escaping with minor injuries. South of their families urged to evacuate from flooded neighborhoods in Lexington. Overnight, 100-mile-an-hour straight-line winds and baseball-sized hail slamming communities southwest of Wichita Falls, Texas. Part of the same system striking Pennsylvania, knocking out power to hundreds of thousands. The Pittsburgh area hit hard, authorities in at least 1 borough declaring a state of emergency. AccuWeather's Monica Danielle in State College with a driver trapped under power lines.
A firefighter came by and told me it's going to be a while, but
he told you to stay in the car.
he said like, you're safe in there, stay in the car.
That driver is okay, but at least 4 are dead in Pennsylvania, including at least 2 people who were electrocuted.
David, back here in Texas, travelers are scrambling with more than 850 flights canceled so far nationwide. A majority of those cancellations happening right here at Dallas area airports. David?
And I know you still have watches in effect primarily east of Dallas there tonight. Mireya, thank you for leading us off. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg from our New York station, WABC, who's tracking this all the way up to upstate New York tonight. Lee?
David, it's a dual threat tonight. We have active severe thunderstorm warnings and flash flood warnings in the Little Rock area. Heavy line of storms down to Shreveport. It's a threat of damaging winds and hail, and then the flooding threat as well. And this area is just going to creep eastward during the overnight, means extensive flash flooding. A lot of these areas, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, we've seen up to a half foot of rain, and we had the wettest month of April all time across the state of Oklahoma. That's significant risk from Waco up to about Fort Smith. The severe weather will expand all the way to the Ohio Valley tomorrow, from Pittsburgh to Cincinnati, and down once again to Texas. David?
All right, Lee Goldberg back with us tonight. Lee, thank you as always. We turn now to the U.S. economy tonight, and the new numbers just in showing the American economy shrinking since President Trump took office. After 33 straight months of growth before he took office, the nation's output of goods and services, the GDP, decreased at an annual rate of 0.3% from January to March. President Trump tonight blaming President Biden, not his own tariffs and the uncertainty it's causing across the economy and the markets. And what President Trump said today about store shelves and toys, how many dolls might be available for children. Mary Bruce at the White House tonight.
Tonight, the new numbers tell a sober story. As President Trump ramped up his trade war, the American economy shrinking. The gross domestic product declining 0.3% in the first 3 months of this year. The president fully aware of how the markets have reacted to his tariffs. Today, instead, blaming his predecessor.
You probably saw some numbers today. And I have to start off by saying that's Biden. That's not Trump.
The president urging Americans to be patient while insisting the downturn has nothing to do with tariffs. But before Trump took office, there had been 33 straight months of growth. Now economists say Trump's tariffs have created new uncertainty. Wall Street seeing its worst start to a presidential term since Nixon in 1974. 24 hours before today's economic report, our Terry Moran asking the president about fears his trade policy will fuel inflation.
There is a lot of concern out there. People are worried, even some people who voted for you saying, I didn't sign up for this. So how do you answer those concerns?
Well, they did sign up for it, actually, and this is what I campaigned on.
Trade with China hit with 145% tariffs, dramatically slowing. The number of cargo ships coming into the port of Los Angeles next week down 36% from this time last year. Sources tell us Target and Walmart have warned the president that consumers could soon be seeing empty shelves. Trump today seeming to acknowledge that, but brushing it off when talking about dolls for children.
You know, somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have 2 dolls instead of 30 dolls, you know. And maybe the 2 dolls will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. But we're not talking about something that we have to go out of our way.
The president on the U.S. economy and the shrinking GDP report today. Mary Bruce live at the White House because, Mary, I know you have other breaking developments. Word the U.S. and Ukraine have just signed a key deal for those rare earth minerals. Tell us.
They have, and David, this deal comes just days after President Trump met with Ukrainian President Zelensky at the Pope's funeral. It gives the U.S. access to some of Ukraine's mineral resources and also builds goodwill between the two countries that have been at odds for several months now. The Treasury Secretary tonight saying this deal, quote, signals clearly to Russia that the Trump administration is committed to a peace process. David.
All right, Mary Bruce on it all at the White House tonight. Mary, thank you. We turn now to the horrific accident reportedly involving NFL legend John Elway. The Hall of Famer reportedly driving a golf cart when his longtime friend and agent fell off the cart, hit his head, and died. What police are saying about this tonight, and here's Kana Whitworth.
Tonight, authorities investigating a tragic accident reportedly involving Hall of Fame quarterback John Elway that left his longtime friend and agent dead. According to TMZ, Elway was allegedly driving a golf cart after a party Saturday in the gated community of La Quinta, California, when suddenly Jeff Spurbeck fell off the back of the cart, hit his head, and suffered a traumatic brain injury. Witnesses describing a chaotic scene.
It was so scary. I mean, it was nothing like we've ever seen. You just don't think you're going to ever witness anything like that. But his wife was like hysterical.
She says Elway was calling for help.
He was on the phone trying to call 911, call anyone.
The 62-year-old Spurbeck rushed to the hospital. where he died this morning. Spurbeck was his agent for a time, and the two eventually became business partners. In a statement tonight, Elway saying in part, "There are no words to truly express the profound sadness I feel with the sudden loss of someone who has meant so much to me." And David, according to TMZ, there is no indication that anyone was driving negligently at the time. David.
Kana Whitworth reporting tonight. Kana, thank you. We turn now to Syracuse and the chilling high school hazing scandal. Authorities describing an incident that resembled an armed kidnapping. 11 students, most of them members of the boys' varsity lacrosse team, tonight surrendering to police. After other players were taken into the woods, there was a gun and a knife, and authorities say they thought they were being kidnapped at gunpoint. The DA tonight calling it hazing on steroids. Here's Whit Johnson.
Tonight, 11 high school students have now turned themselves in over an alleged prank near Syracuse, New York, that the district attorney says went way beyond hazing. This after authorities issued a 48-hour ultimatum urging them to surrender.
And this is hazing on steroids, okay? This could have resulted in such a tragedy.
Many of those students on the Westhill High School varsity boys lacrosse team, accused of taking underclassmen to a lacrosse game last week and then driving them to a remote wooded area pretending to be lost.
People came out of the woods all dressed in black. They were armed with what appeared to be at least one handgun and at least one knife.
Authorities say at least 4 students ran away, but one left behind, his hands tied, placed in the trunk of a car with a hood over his head by students posing as kidnappers. Then, after the incident, taking that victim home. The school district now canceling the remainder of the varsity boys lacrosse season.
And David, because the students have all turned themselves in before that Friday morning deadline, they will each get a ticket for misdemeanor unlawful imprisonment, but no criminal record. David.
All right, Whit Johnson with us tonight. Whit, thank you. Now to Boston and to dramatic testimony in the Karen Reed murder trial today. The key witness on the stand and what she said Karen Reed told police that night. Karen Reed then outside the courthouse afterward and what she's now saying about that witness. Matt Gutman following the trial.
Tonight, Karen Reed's lawyers presenting to the jury the defense theory that has turned this case into a national sensation, that the murder of Boston police officer John O'Keefe was covered up. On the stand for 2 days, Jennifer McCabe, a star witness for the prosecution who was with Reed when Reed discovered her boyfriend, O'Keefe, dying of blunt force trauma and hypothermia in the snow. Reed's been charged with second-degree murder, accused of deliberately hitting him with her SUV, but Reed maintaining she's innocent. That's Jennifer McCabe you hear on this 911 call.
There's a man unresponsive in the snow. I don't know if he's breathing. I think he's passed away.
You can hear Reed screaming in the background, McCabe describing her as hysterical.
Did you hear or do you remember the defendant saying anything to the first responder?
Yes.
What did she say?
She told the first responder, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
The prosecution telling the jury that is an admission of guilt. But in cross-examination, the defense trying to show that the star witness teamed up with others to make sure they all told the same story. McCabe pushing back.
We just give each other the heads up, hey, somebody's coming, because we're just like normal moms. We're not used to this.
And that's helpful in making sure that the stories she tells are consistent with the stories you tell to different law enforcement agencies, correct?
No, we are not telling stories.
And late today after court, Karen Reed calling her one-time friend a liar.
Inconsistencies, every statement's different. Under oath, not under oath, with the cops are all wrong. This is very similar to what we saw a year ago.
Why is she so inconsistent?
Because she's lying.
And David, Jen McCabe is one of the prosecution's star witnesses, but the defense has been trying to portray her as an unreliable witness, saying that over the years, she has changed her story multiple times. Now, Jen McCabe will be back on the stand Friday when court resumes. David.
Matt Gutman on this case again tonight. Matt, thank you. Next tonight here, the NFL is now fining the Atlanta Falcons and one of their coaches $350,000 after that prank call from the coach's son to college football star Shedeur Sanders during the NFL draft, giving him false hope earlier in the draft. Tonight here, the video of that prank call and what the coach is now saying about the prank and his son. Here's ABC's Ike Achachi.
Tonight, the NFL fining the Atlanta Falcons and their defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich $350,000 after Ulbrich's son admitted to a prank call on a college football star during the draft.
Going forward, I promise my son and I will work hard to demonstrate We are better than this.
Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders, son of NFL legend Deion Sanders, anxiously waiting for his name to be called in the second round, hopeful when the phone rang.
This is Mickey Loomis here, GM of the Saints.
But it wasn't the Saints on the phone. Video posted online shows 21-year-old Jax Ulbrich and a friend making the call.
We're going to take you with our next pick right here, man.
Sanders, live streaming on Twitch during the draft, skeptical.
But nobody got this number, though.
The Falcons say Ulbrich got Sanders' number from his father's unlocked iPad. And tonight, the NFL fining the Falcons $250,000 and Ulbrich $100,000 for failing to prevent the disclosure of confidential information. David, Jax Ulbrich apologized to Sanders, who was eventually drafted by the Cleveland Browns in the 5th round. David?
All right, Ike, thanks so much. Tonight, a federal judge has released a Columbia University student activist after 2 weeks in jail. Mohsin Madawi, a legal permanent resident, was arrested during an interview to finalize his U.S. citizenship. The Trump administration claims they can deport anyone they believe threatens foreign policy. Madawi's attorneys say he is being punished for legally protected speech and that they expect the government will try to appeal his release now. When we come back here tonight, singer Michael Bolton breaking his silence about his battle with brain cancer and what he's saying tonight. Also, Barbra Streisand in the news tonight, her big announcement here. But first, the chilling news coming in from authorities. Take a look tonight. They're saying they have no doubt stopped a mass shooting. The stockpile of weapons, ammunition, police equipment that they say they found inside a home. Where they found this and the alleged planned targets in a moment here. Tonight, the sheriff in Palm Beach County, Florida, saying he has no doubt authorities there have stopped a mass shooting. Police arresting Damian Allen following a tip from the FBI. Authorities say they recovered an arsenal of weapons from his home, including 18 firearms, 12,000 rounds of ammunition, a taser, law enforcement uniforms, and equipment as well. They believe he had multiple targets planned, including police departments and churches. When we come back here tonight, Michael Bolton breaking his silence about his battle with brain cancer. And then there's the big news involving Barbra Streisand tonight as well. To the index of other news, singer Michael Bolton on his battle with glioblastoma, a rare form of brain cancer, diagnosed in 2023, 2 brain surgeries. He tells People magazine he finished radiation and chemotherapy. It's affected his short-term memory and mobility. Bolton asking doctors not to give him a prognosis, he says, so he can stay positive. We wish him the best. King Charles tonight sharing a heartfelt message about his battle with cancer. Diagnosed with cancer more than a year ago at a reception at Buckingham Palace with fellow cancer patients and survivors. He calls cancer frightening, but says it also shows the best of humanity. When we come back here tonight, Barbra Streisand, most famous duets. You'll hear them here tonight. And the big announcement, who's joining her now? Finally tonight here, Barbra Streisand and her famous duets, and she's about to release new ones. Barbra Streisand and her singular voice.
Like the corners of my mind.
During her 4-decade career as an actor, director, singer, and songwriter, Barbra Streisand and her duets have been so loved too.
Forget your trouble, happy days.
Happy Days are here again with Judy Garland.
Are here again. And we got nothing to begin to be on. Our love, we're climbing mountains.
Guilty with Barry Gibb.
We are, and we never let it end.
You Don't Bring Me Flowers with Neil Diamond.
So you think I could learn how to tell
And Evergreen with Chris Christopherson.
You and I will make each night a first.
From A Star Is Born in 1976. Tonight, at 83 years old, Barbra Streisand announcing she plans to release a new set of duets with performers you'll know. Paul McCartney, Bob Dylan, Mariah Carey, and Ariana Grande. Tonight, Barbra Streisand set to deliver a whole new set of duets with friends you'll know.
You don't bring me flowers anymore.
Those duets really take you back, don't they? Looking forward to the new ones. I'm David Muir. Thanks for being here. I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.